Good morning and happy Friday. Let's take a look here. We have some big runners in small cap yesterday. What was this one? GXAI? Take a look at that one. Yeah, this one's been going for a few days now. Super impressive move. So small caps heating up a little bit. Thar was the first one to sort of kick things off. And it's still hanging out. I tried the second red day or the gap up short setup. Didn't work. And maybe it comes down today. So today I'm expecting some nice fades. I do expect some stuff to fade. EEIQ. So far, the leading gapper. That's the main one. Hopefully there's more than one that sets up. It's actually pretty light this morning. But things can always pick up. So let's see here. What do we have on this news? Is there news? EPS earnings news from yesterday. That's pretty much it. Announces first half fiscal year 2025 financial result. So it's earnings related. What else? CYCU. What is the news on this one? Oh, regains listing compliance. NASDAQ listing compliance. No longer being delisted, so the stock will run a little bit. They do need to hold $1. So usually it's something like they say, hey, we're planning on doing a split, reverse split, so we'll get the price above $1. It's usually something like that. So the minimum equity rule doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. They're going to go bankrupt eventually anyways. Hopefully not before we can short it. MODV. Surges after Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing. Bankruptcy bounce. Very interesting. These are fun to trade. We had one of these a while ago. It was 23andMe. Uh-oh. Not going to be able to see it. MEQ? No. ME. Luckily, I have a screenshot. Let me pull up this screenshot because this is super interesting. Here we go. Look at this. This is a bankruptcy bounce on 23andMe. So news comes out over here. It holds for a few days and then we get the bounce. So we gotta be careful though. because they are going to delist, but there's usually a bounce on these. So we got the drop here. Okay, it should settle for a couple days maybe. And maybe it's just going to bounce. It's already put in a decent move. So this one may be done. This one's probably cooked. Or maybe it has a follow-up run later today. After that, it's probably not worth touching. MODV, we will watch it. It would be kind of cool to see a pre-market breakout, squeeze up towards $1.50. Keep a watch on that one. LAMN, no news. So running on no news. May set up for something. ELAB, former runner, no news again. So we'll keep a close watch on those. Let's look at some big caps. PLTR is very interesting. Very, very interesting because look at this. We've had a pretty hard pullback off at the top. Pretty incredible dip right there. 25% dip in just a few days. And so the question is, are we going to see a bounce on it? Which I think we are. Probably bounce back up to 170 area. And then I guess it's just going to roll over after that because this is a pretty absurd move. But it doesn't go straight down usually. So it did pull back to that 50 moving average and on the daily. I would expect it to hold here. We get a big bottom wick. And wouldn't be surprised if we see a bounce before it continues rolling over. I don't know if it can keep going. Kind of looks a lot like this move right here. Basically the same pattern. We got a gap up. There's a gap up here. Let me remove this line. So they both had a gap up, big push, and then huge dump. Huge dump. And then this one didn't really bounce over here. So it pulled back to that 50 moving average on the daily. No bounce on that one. So it doesn't have to bounce. It could just put in a pathetic weak bounce and then roll over some more or chop its way down. I think we see some bigger weakness. I mean, it could do something like this. See, this is a pretty good example of what we might get. Big pullback off the top. It pulled straight into that 50, but it just kept going down. And then eventually did put a little weak bounce in, and then it kept going down. So that would be a kind of nasty action. This is kind of nasty too for the swings because I'm looking to maybe buy it and hold for a few days, a week, a couple weeks, and try to catch a bounce. But may or may not happen. A lot of macro events that could play out. We have Venezuela. We're sending troops, 4,000 troops and warships over to Venezuela right now because drugs, I guess. And we're going to overthrow their prime minister or whatever they have, the president. Because he is illegitimate And as America, it is our job to spread democracy across the world, one bomb of peace at a time. Top banana? I don't know what that means. Oh, the Maduro plantain. That's right, the lead, the leader of the banana clan. Yeah, it's funny when you explain it. That's where we get all our bananas. All right, let's take a peek at Tesla. So Tesla, obviously in a mega wedge. It's been in that wedge for a while. Everybody's looking at it. We faked out the bottom of the wedge. We faked out the top of the wedge. And now what? Too many drawings on this thing. Get rid of all this crap. But since it's faked out the top, it's faked out the bottom. Now what's it going to do? I think since we have a double fake out, maybe now it will actually have some follow through. That would be my guess. And that is my trade on it right now. So we're kind of anticipating a breakdown of the wedge. So we might see a triple fake out and then it comes back up, but I do think it's going to do something like this. Pull up this other chart. So this is the Tesla algo. So back here, we predicted that it would stay in this wedge for a while, bounce up, come back down. So now we got to the end of that prediction. Now I think we are going to see maybe a breakdown. Something like this. Maybe a little more chop and then crack the line. Retest and then some downside. Maybe just sub 300. That's my guess. Now I'm following the algo here too a little bit. It's not always perfect, but it's pretty good. It is up 650,000 since 2023. So it's not always perfect, but we can see the wedge, we can see the double fake out, so that's pretty clear. And then obviously seems like we're in a big AI bubble, and some of these stocks could crack pretty hard. Nvidia is kind of broken trend. One of the main leaders of AI. So Tesla does look a little bit weak. You never really know, but that's the idea with the swings. We want to capture these big moves. So like this one, it was long. Love this entry. To the top of the wedge. I would sell into the top of the wedge. Now it's short. Difficult to say though. This could tighten up some more and go either way. So far though, it's riding the bottom of that wedge pretty nicely. That is a bear flag right on the bottom of that wedge. Pretty clear bear flag right there. Over the past couple of days. So the question is it going to push back to the top or maybe push back to the midpoint and then roll over? Some sort of push and then roll over? Or is it going to push back up and break out? We're short, so we're thinking it's going to come down. And then probably after this, it's going to do something like that. Just take out the low right here. Maybe take out this low even. I don't know. Hard to say. But we'll see. It's a nice thing with this style is I can just flip if I want. That's how it trades. It's impossible to predict everything, so we just follow along. The daily looking very, very weak. Of course, it can always turn on a dime and shoot right back up. Just like right here, it was looking pretty weak, taking out the wedge, but it simply held and came back up. So that could happen. All right, let's look at some other swings. UNH. I'm long UNH. Obviously, this has got a bunch of consolidation right around 3, mid 3, 305 area. So huge consolidation right through here. Took out the low. Look, see, this is what I think Tesla's going to do, basically. See, it took out the low right here on this big dip. Reclaimed. Mega reclaim. Obviously, with Berkshire buying it, that's going to be a huge vote of confidence. And that's why we saw this big move here. But now it's turned into a big bull flag. A little bit of a trend break right here. And it seems like it could potentially get moving. But there is a gap now. This is the only questionable thing. We have this gap right here, which the gaps like to be filled. They don't always fill right away. It doesn't have to fill either. But there is a gap. So the gap makes me think it wants to come down, retest the 270, low 270s before it continues higher. But then this nice looking bull flag makes me think, well, it looks like it could just hold here and rip higher pretty quickly. So we'll see what it does, but I have it long right around 303. And really, the longer term trade on this is the rebound up towards 4, 5, 600 over the next, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year, something like that. I don't typically hold that long, but maybe I should. Maybe I should. Sometimes. But we'll see. We'll just take it week by week here. NVIDIA. This is a big one for the tech AI sector. We've broken this trend line. This is a big deal. This is a pretty mega trend line right here. Finally broken after riding up since April. So it's pretty significant when you get a trend break like this. Also breaking this 20 moving average on the daily for the first time since April, since this whole move started. So the big question is it going to crack aggressively, or is it going to simply reclaim and continue higher? I do think we're in a big AI bubble. I mean, just look at this move here on the weekly. Pretty absurd. Monthly chart. It's a pretty insane move. Typically, when things get overextended like this, like back here, very similar kind of look to it. It tends to want to pull back. So pull back, undercut the 100, maybe, this could pull back to the 140s over the next month or so. Very possible. On the flip side, this move looks very similar too. Rode up that 20 moving average, but then it just tested the 50, reclaimed the 50, and then it was off again for leg 2. So we had 2 legs up right here. We could see 2 legs up right here too. This is leg 1. It's simply leg 1. But it still probably needs to come under that 50 moving average at least for a chance to continue higher. And that's if it doesn't crack even harder and pull under the 100. If it comes under the 100, we're probably going to be in more of a sustained, weaker zone for a while. Like this over here. Pull under the 100. It did have some nice moves, though, before eventually breaking out again. And then back over here, this is actually more of a bear market situation. So if it pulls that 100, we'll see some bounces, but then it could easily continue lower, and we have more of a sustained drawdown, or not drawdown, but pull back on the stock, setting up a big buying opportunity for another move higher. But the AI bubble is probably popping. In my opinion, very similar to the dot-com bubble. All the way back here in the 2000s. We could see something like this too. This was a pretty bad one. Never plays out the same way though. But the trouble comes when we start breaking that 100 moving average, either way you look at it. And we've just started to pull under the 50. Yep. Happy Friday. Yep, happy Friday, everybody. All right, so that's pretty much what I think those big caps are going to do. Oh yeah, Lulu. I got a big play here for Lulu. I'm trying. For the end of the year, we do have earnings coming up. I might hold through the earnings. I don't usually do that. But we'll see. I really think this is going to have quite a reclaim at some point this year. maybe have a 30, 40, 50% bounce towards the end of the year. Pretty much just like we saw back here. This was a 60% bounce pretty much off the lows. So a pretty insane opportunity here on Lulu. I think eventually this money's, as it leaves these AI stocks, it's probably going to come back into stocks like this that are undervalued. There's a pretty clear trend that hasn't broken yet. So big watch on this trend line right here. It is really tightening up on that trend line though. So we could be seeing a break soon. All right, 1 minute to the bell. Good luck, everyone. I'm expecting EEIQ to fade. Probably an all-day fade coming. Going to be watching that Tesla wedge really closely. We'll see if that breaks down or not. There will be a big trade whenever that move finally happens. Just sticking to the trade though, the algo. But really interesting to see how this plays out. All right, EIQ pushing at the open. Very nice. Wow, Newegg is still grinding at the highs. pretty insane. Just brutalizing all these swing short sellers. Threatening to, I don't know, this could push up to 200. This could get even crazier. But yeah, definitely Tesla is setting up for something huge, one way or the other. Closing out some UNH here because I love these overnight trades. This is just what I like to do. I've been burned trying to hold too long, so I don't know. Seems to do better if I just lock it in. Hold some, lock some in. EEIQ halting down. Not surprising at all. Baba looking really nice. Nice trend break on Baba. Beautiful. Should have bought that one too. Didn't buy that one yet. I did buy some Unity. Higher lows. Feels like to me the market's bouncing overall. We're probably going to see some green today, I would guess. PayPal coming up too. Morning spikes usually fail. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes stocks run all day too. Yeah, UNH is just looking pretty strong right now. But I sold my swing from 303 to 309, 310. Nice little trade. We'll see if this spike maintains or not. It's going to be pretty telling if this turns into a red day today. Or if it holds green. Apple little spike out of the gate. The big question is high a day in or not. EIQ unhalted. Tesla holding onto that wedge really nicely. We'll see if it follows this pattern or not. UNH trying to hold on to 309. Looks like a really nice flag on the daily. Super, super nice looking. Huge hold so far on Tesla. Holding onto that wedge. Yeah, we'll see if it sustains this move or not. You never know. It could have an all-day green day, or it can just spike and fail in the morning. Really hard to say. But I am expecting some sort of short-term bounce. Yeah, as long as it doesn't go over 332, 334 area, we're in good shape. But yeah, this trade is all about trying to capture this big move and not really care too much about the intraday moves. EEIQ flagging at the open. Wedging. Intel bouncing 2 really nicely now. New gen long meta 750. Let me take a look. From 741, 66. Sweet. That looks really nice. Yeah, Tesla's a rocket ship straight back up. But I am kind of expecting to go back up to 328. We'll see. The algo's not right all the time. EIQ squeezing. So Amazon's staying weak. CoreWeave is weak. So EEIQ has warrants pending, and those could become active at any moment. They can't sell them yet, but they have a bunch of them to sell from, I think it was 50 cents. Yeah, 48 cents. What's Meta doing to you? Looked like it was working earlier. Is it coming back? Uh-oh, it's coming back. Yeah, a lot of stuff is failing. Morning spikes usually fail. Baba's pulling back. Meta, coin. Intel holding strong. Hood is pulling back hard. Tesla's holding up. UNH pulling back to 307. Amazon pulling kind of hard. EIQ still trying to squeeze me. I'm not convinced yet. Tesla at 329 now. Oh, it's coming back, huh? Whoo! So we have the Fed thing at 10 o'clock. I think we cut that Tesla trade. So maybe there will be a rate cut coming. Fed abandoning 2020 flexible average inflation target framework. Traders add to bets on Fed interest rate cuts in September. Yeah, everything's shooting up on that. So Tesla held that wedge perfectly into that news. Seems like that revived the market because everything was looking pretty weak. I'm up on all my swings now really nicely, except this Tesla short, which was kind of a new idea, testing out this algo. Traders resume fully pricing in 2 Fed rate cuts by year end. Well, that seems like everything changed. That seems like that changed everything for the market. Back into bull mode. Yeah, everything's up massively on that. Nice, Scotty. Yeah, everything looked like it was going to roll over. So, like we were talking about, things can turn on a dime. Luckily, I still have my Nike long Lulu I'm building. Surprise rate cuts. That kind of changes things quite a bit. I guess we're going back to another bull market rally, I guess, which is awesome. Look at that SPY right back to the highs, holding that major trend line. It's pretty amazing. All right, I have a little short on EIQ still. It's trying to squeeze me out, but it just can't do the job so far. UNH back to 308 though. 307. Really glad I held my Nike. All right, EIQ coming down now. Nice. Nike, let's take a peek. Just such a good looking setup. Look at that beautiful consolidation, holding trend, threatening to push the highs now. Our goal is to sell over 80 at least. We're long from 75. Let's see. EIQ halted down now. Gonna let that fade. Nike looking great. We'll see how this plays out. A lot of times you get an up day, down day, up day, down day. All right, guys, gonna call it there. Gotta get going. Really interesting stuff with the rates. That's gonna change everything. I gotta rethink some swing strats. Pretty much every long is working right now. Luckily, I have some longs on. So those are all doing great. But mainly for the day trades, we got EIQ, gonna try to let that fade. And we'll reassess it on Monday and see where things land. All right, have a good weekend. Be back Monday.